So welcome to Startup Centre Victoria Meetup as we celebrate the lead up to International Rural Women's Day, which is this Saturday, 15th of October, and pay tribute to many rural women who are doing business in rural towns and communities. And today's special guests are Amy Treacy from CohunaCo and Bush Biz Boost in Cohuna, if you didn't pick that up. Then we've got Beck Gallagher on the Loddon River, watching it rise as we speak, Words and Pictures, Eddington. And Michelle Muskrich, Mucko Family Farm. I love that name, Michelle, at Heathcote. But before we kick off and talk with these lovely ladies, I'd like to acknowledge that we are meeting on Dja Dja Wurrung, Yorta Yorta and Tungarung country, and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. So, welcome, ladies. Instead of me explaining what your business is about, I think you know your businesses far better than I do. So I'm going to invite each of you to just briefly tell us, what is your business? What do you do in your business and how do you run it? So I'm going to start with, let's start with Amy. So,
thanks, Kerry.
Amy.
Thanks for having me, and I appreciate being asked to come along to such an incredible event honouring rural women in business. So I'm Amy Tracy. I'm from Cohuna in Northern Victoria, a tiny town, population of around 2,000 people. And I run two businesses at the moment. The first one is called CohunaCo, which is I call it a flexible hire hub, which no one knows what it is, but basically we have a big building with lots of offices and meeting rooms and spaces for events, for co-working and for meetings, and also for outreach services. So that's been one of our goals, is to get services that we don't currently have full-time in Cohuna, particularly mental health and some of the other allied health services, but also pretty much anyone that wants to come, they can come and they can hire an office on a flexible basis. So it might be once a month or once a fortnight. And I also then that developed into my new business, Bush Biz Boost, which is a business support service. So people were coming to me for some business advice if they wanted to start up a business, if they wanted to get online, social media, and just sort of general business things, because I had managed to build up quite a big network of people and other rural experts that I know. So that's led me to start Bush Biz Boost. So I offer one-on-one sessions with businesses. I do people's social media for them, or businesses' social media for them, and guest speaking, workshops, and consulting to other organisations like local councils and things. So keeps us busy. My husband's a local teacher, and I've literally only just gone full-time in these two businesses in the last 3 months. I was an insurance broker before that. I've been a teacher, been a family day carer. I've got a lot of a lot of hats. So yeah, thanks for having me, and I can't wait to hear about the other girls as well.
We all have interesting journeys into business, don't we? And we might touch on that a bit more later. Thanks, Amy. Beck, tell us about what you do.
Hi, yeah, my name's Beck Gallagher. I am a photographer. I own my business, Words and Pictures. My photography specialises in newborns, families, pregnancy, and recently extended families. That seems to be very popular at the moment. I've been in business for approximately 9 years. That's full-time. I was part-time before leaving my advertising job. I am also a graphic designer, so I don't do so much of that anymore, but that is a little kind of a little side alley that I explore time to time. And yeah, I live in Eddington, so rural on the river. I have a studio, an indoor studio, which is custom built for my work, and also have the beautiful outdoors located on the Loddon River, and a lot of farming land around that as well. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
And it's a lovely nutshell. And I can say that because I've actually been to your business. My children surprised me with a a gift voucher to come and have some photography done. So that's how I got to hear about Beck, and it's a beautiful location. So well done, Beck. Michelle, tell us about your business, please.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. So yeah, my name is Michelle Muskrich. We have CohunaCo Family Farm, which is a quite a small farm in Heathcote. It's been quite an adventure getting to the farm and starting it up. It was, I grew up in the suburbs of Melbourne, so becoming a farmer and building up a business has been big journey, but it's been really fun. So I live here with my husband and I've got a couple of primary school kids. We have sheep, we have merino sheep, which we sell the wool, and we also seasonally produce lamb packs, which we sell direct to customers. So you can order the lamb through our website and it gets delivered to your door in a similarly prepared as you would buy from the butcher, but just all at once. We've also recently ventured into wool. We've got some of our own wool processed, and I've created some felt kits, so hand-dyed, and it's got tools for wet and dry felting. So if anyone's tried felting, it's got some different tools in there, and that's been really fun. We're very early in the journey, so it's about trying to work out what to do next. We've got the farm set up now. We're confident with the sheep, but it's just trying to move on to that journey of, all right, well, how do we where do we sell this, how do we promote it, how do we sort of start to engage a bit more with different businesses. So yeah, it's been really fun.
Well, I didn't realize you'd had a sheep change. Yes, fancy taking on farming, and well done. So we'll talk a bit more to you, Michelle,
it was
about
a tree change that kind of went a little bit further.
Tree sheep change, yes. So well done. All right. So what I'd like to ask you about now is, a bit about your journey, and how did you reach this point? Because we all come into business in different pathways, and also, where are you at now, and what point are you at now? What are you aiming to do? So I might, because Beck said she's 9 years, you could almost say a decade, Beck. How about we start with you, because you've got the points on the board. Tell us a bit about your journey, and you also mentioned to me about you've recently secured a business coach. So I'm really interested why you have chosen to do that. So over to you.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in business, I guess, almost 10 years. I was working in advertising, which was awesome grounding for what I'm doing now. But my heart probably wasn't in it. I had a couple of kids during my time at the advertising. My photography business started up, and that's all I could think about. So I listened to my gut, and I took the leap of faith, obviously with the support of my family and especially my husband. Started off baby steps. So started off working out of our lounge room. So the lounge room was essentially my studio for a period of time. Clearly that's not conducive to family life. We live in a fairly small, or not small, but yeah, it has like one living area. So that living area was occupied by all my space. So yeah, we took the leap of faith and built the studio. Really haven't looked back since then. It's just continued to evolve and roll on. And the good thing about country communities is word of mouth. You do good service, people will talk about you, and in turn get more business. I am also very lucky that I have a lot of repeat clients. So I feel like once I secure a client, they tend to come back for other special occasions. So 2019, everything's like going great. 2020 pandemic hits. I've built up a fairly good business up until 2019, 2020. Then obviously rolling lockdowns, I've been shut down on and off over the last 2 years. So I've been literally going from 0 to 200, 300 because I'm catching up on all the shoots I've had to postpone. And then obviously I had bookings secured in advance. So I'm double teaming like all my work. So that was crazy the last 2 years. And then I guess I've come into this year trying to steer the ship in a steady pace. And that's been good until we've hit winter. And winter is generally quiet, like it's a quieter time, but I would say this winter has been definitely my quietest. And I guess that's, you know, families, I know a lot of families have encountered a lot of sickness over winter. I guess interest rates are going up. I provide a luxury service. So I think there's been a mix of environmental and just, you know, financial factors affecting everybody at the moment. And that in turn has impacted my business, along with the weather, because this winter just will not end. The rain just keeps coming, and obviously that directly impacts my outdoor component of my work. So I have sourced a business coach to just give me some perspective from the outside looking in, rather than me. I feel like I'm too close to my business to maybe problem solve some of the things, and maybe, I don't know, take a little bit of a different direction, like not full direction change, but just little other things that I could be doing to increase work. So yeah, I've just undertaken that. I'm really in the early stages of that, and that will go until the end of the year. And I really hope that that just gives me a bit of a new direction. I find one thing in business is you never stop learning. Like if you stop learning, you stop, basically. So you've got to keep evolving, whether that's like in the financial side of your business, or for me in the creative side as well. Like I need to keep across like new technology, new trends, and also what the customer wants. So what are the, you know, latest trends that the customer wants, and work that into my look and feel of my business as well. So yeah, there's a lot of factors to consider, but I think employing someone from outside my business to give me a bit of direction is a really good investment.
Great words of advice. Yes, you never stop learning. That's the first key thing. You just can't be complacent in business. So, Amy, I know you're relatively new also. You've the leap of faith. I heard Beck say that, and I guess that's what we all take. You move away from that security of a full-time job, take the leap of faith. So, you know, what are you exploring at the moment? You know, what brought you to the point that you felt confident enough to take that leap of faith?
Well, CohunaCo has actually been in operation for almost 4 years now, but obviously during COVID, it was 2 years that we couldn't have events and everything shut down. So in that time, we were using it ourselves basically as an extra place to remote learn and remote work. So it's sort of been, yeah, up and down like everyone else's businesses. And then the idea for Bush Biz Boost on top of that came through probably the opportunities in COVID, where a lot of country businesses realise that they probably can't rely on foot traffic and people coming in store anymore, and that the consumers were moving to researching things online, connecting with businesses online, and expecting being able to send emails and get them straight back, or messages and get them straight back, or be able to order on a website, and yeah, more move into that online space. So that's where the idea for Bush Biz Boost came, to help rural businesses. We hate the word pivot, but you know, everyone had to try and do it, and some did it more successfully than others. Some were just overwhelmed by the sheer change, because you know, people find change difficult. So I stepped in and have been able to use a lot of my skills and knowledge, connections and passion for rural business to try and help businesses like that. And when I read out the running sheet to my husband, and one of the questions was, you know, are you still exploring options or growing? He just let out this big laugh, and I said, what? And he said, oh, you are always having ideas. And it's so true, because I've always been like that. If I see that there's a gap or an opportunity or a problem to solve, I'm just one of those people that thinks, well, how can we get this to our town? How can we help people through this obstacle, rather than all sitting around complaining about it? Let's see if we can do something about it. And a perfect example of that is the fact that we started a co-working centre in rural Victoria in 2019. And I had to do so much explaining of what that actually meant. You've got to put yourself back there when people didn't even know what remote working was. Hardly anyone had even used Zoom before, and it was just not on people's radar that it's possible to work anywhere but in an office or in the city or wherever you are. So I feel like we're sort of a little bit of early adopters, and we kind of always have been, not necessarily intentionally, but just like Beck, I just absolutely love learning. And I've also got myself a business coach, plus I coach other businesses. So it's so good. And exactly what Beck said, having fresh eyes on your business. And I find that's really how I help most of my clients these days. It's just having that person that's not caught up in the daily doing of the business, and can sort of identify opportunities or help you think about something a little bit differently that you might not have been able to think about as well. But yeah, we've always got lots of ideas happening. My poor husband, he just, you know, I get this look on my face and he's like, oh, what now? And I'm like, I think my last thing is like, I want to buy a food truck. And he's like, well, when are we going to have time to do that? I'm like, I don't know. It'll be fun though. So
maybe run that by your business coach, Amy.
Yeah.
So
I know.
I'm really interested. You've left a full-time job. Do you think, are there times where you think, what have I done? You've left that security. What was the thing that most made you leave that job?
I loved my job. I loved my team, but it was just, I needed a little bit more flexibility. I felt like I was just always saying to them, oh, I've got to take, you know, my daughter to the doctor, or I've got this, and I couldn't do things like this in the middle of the day. Like I felt like I had a bit of FOMO. I couldn't sign up for things. So I just wanted that flexibility, and I've always wanted to be self-employed. And I love creating something from scratch and then building it up. And then often I hand over the reins so I just wanted to really, have a go at it. And I knew that if everything failed, which I have a bit of confidence in myself that it won't, that I have enough skills that I'd be able to pick up a job anywhere else. So if push comes to shove, if COVID comes back, or if some other big catastrophe happens, then I feel like I do have the safety net that I trust enough in myself that I'll be able to get some sort of different job or start up another business, who knows. But it was a big leap, and it's taken me a long time to get to that point. But I don't regret it at all. And I think I've got so many ideas for the future that it looks bright. So
Well done, and congrats. And you touched on something that's really important to women in rural areas, that flexibility. So especially if you're mums, it's nice to, but also being your own boss and in charge of your own destiny, all good points.
I love that idea of being able to take something, take an idea that's come from you and build it up into something, and then have that move on or stay with it. That's kind of the thing that sparks for me. It's like, that's what I want to do. I want to take that idea and build it.
Excellent. So you did the accelerator program earlier this year, Michelle. So tell us about your journey. What point in your journey did you decide an accelerator program? And that was the Startup Centre Victoria's accelerator program, I should add. Explain to us what got to that point and where you're hoping to go in the future.
So we're quite early. So we've built up the farm. We're really confident in what we're doing here. We're confident in the land products that we're creating, and but I sort of had this idea around wool that I wanted to explore. It's it's such a great product, and at the moment we send all our wool overseas to be processed, and it's such an opportunity here. And even before COVID, people were starting to think about, well, where does this thing come from, and the sustainability aspect of what we're wearing. So I kind of really wanted to explore that in wool, and so that was one of the reasons why I looked at the startup program, because it was like, well, we've got this idea, we've got this, we actually kind of went the reverse and got some wool processed into top, which normally you'd sort of, come up with your product first and then go and build it. We sort of went straight to that because it was the opportunity that we had at that point in time. And so then it's like, well, I've got this, we've invested in this, beautiful product, and it's sitting there and I'm not quite sure what to do with it, how to sell it. So we went through, looked at a whole lot of different options, and the startup program was really good in just putting some framework around how you think about these things. You know, I've come from a business background. I've got a project manager, so I've sort of had that sort of process of how you approach something, but actually thinking through all of the, you know, the marketing, the communications, and the, you know, business strategy side of it was really valuable. And so where we're looking at the moment, if we've created these felt kits, and we've got our lamb products, which is sort of almost two different products, even though they're from the same animal, to very different markets. And so we're just building up building up our social media around that, building up our marketing strategy. And because the challenge we've got at the moment is trying to work out, well, you know, what are we good at? What should we focus on? What do we need help with? And, you know, hearing you two talk about, you know, getting in some help. And I think your business, Amy, sounds like something that I could do with as well. You know, it's like, what bits do we need help with? What should I get other people to help us with? And what are the things that we're good at and we should build on and focus on? And it's also about what we want to do. Like we sort of didn't go into this venture because we wanted to, you know, for the money or for anything. It was really around a lifestyle for us, having the kids having a farm. We're regenerating a lot of the farm as well. So we practice, things like rotational grazing, where we're actually focus is trying to build the soil rather than, using the animals to build the soil rather than just, the money that you get off the stock. And we're doing a lot of, tree planting. It's all those things. It's been this opportunity to sort of pull together a whole lot of things that we love and hopefully sort of head that into something where we can actually, make some money off that as well. And that can be our what we're employed as. So yeah.
Excellent. Money is always good, Michelle, because the more money you make, the more you can put back into your community and share that round. So yeah.
And look, and that's a little bit of the challenge, isn't it? We're also working other jobs, and it's like, what point do you can you tip? We're not quite ready yet but that's what we want to sort of get towards, where it's, where can we tip from that off-farm income to perhaps more on-farm income?
Yeah, excellent. So I'm just realizing I could say by good management, we've got such a diverse group of women. And, here we are on the farm with Michelle, we're in the business environment with Amy, and the artistic on the river with Beck. So well done. Karma.
Well done, Kerry.
Brought all these people together. Yeah, I hadn't realised how well I'd done until listening to you all. Now, technology is really important to any business in this day and age, whether you actually acknowledge it or not. So I'm really interested to touch on this. And I'm going to start with Amy, because obviously you've got a strong interest in how can businesses utilise technology and perhaps your learning journey. You've obviously started at some point, Amy, and what are the things we really need to be switched on in terms of technology in our businesses, and what role does it play in yours?
Well, yes, I've been a technology nerd since I was quite young. Luckily, my parents were kind of interested in, when I was a teenager, that's when the internet first came out, and we always had computers and things at home that they tried to use for their farming business as well. So when I finished school and decided to go to university, I did a Bachelor of IT, which was a pretty much brand new course back then. And I think at the end of it, I think I didn't really get a job in it, but it hasn't been wasted, which, I might have thought for a start that it had been. But, everything back then was designing websites by code and learning computer code and stuff, which I don't need any of that stuff now. But it has given me the confidence, and I'm always interested in learning all the new technologies, but I don't think people need to panic about having to be across it all. I base my business advice and everything on keeping things simple and really deciding what your tech stack you need is. And your tech stack is sort of what email platform you use, what website platform you use, what social media you use, what apps you use within your business, and what programs you use in your business. There's so much out there, and half the problem can be trying to decide which ones you need, which ones it's worth investing the time in learning or paying someone to set things up for you. So my advice in that regard is definitely keep it simple. Don't get sucked into shiny object syndrome, which I often do. Oh, new things coming out. And I often speak to rural business owners who are just overwhelmed, which causes them to stop at all, because they think, I need to be on LinkedIn, I need to be on TikTok, I need to be on Instagram, I need to be on Facebook, I need to do this. And we just say, well, okay, hang on, let's just go back to the basics. What are your ultimate goals? And what should we focus on for a start? And then if you have good success, then perhaps we might have a bit of time or money to investigate other programs or using other channels for their marketing. So yeah, technology plays a huge part in my business. But when you asked that question, Kerry, I thought I actually probably don't use any high-tech technology or anything. I'm the good old internet, Zoom, iPhone, social media, just like everyone else. And so yeah, some of the other businesses will be using much more technology than me, but it does play a part. And my passion is making it so that it's not scary for people, so that they realize that that it's something that they probably are going to have to embrace at some point, and then holding their hands through just learning it, or like being comfortable with outsourcing it. So it's here to stay, and there's mostly good things about it. So.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with everything you said there. I think the opportunity for businesses is it's very different than what it used to be. Like, you can software as a service. So being able to just sign up for a monthly subscription for things like, website or your accounting software or any of these things, it's such a big barrier that's been taken away. Before you had to have somebody install accounting software, or a lot of that complication has been taken away. But it's the choice now is the challenging thing. There are, there's a dozen different places you can build your website supposedly super easy. It's that trying to decide what the best one is for you. But then again, it's not cheap stations if you make the wrong decision. You start off with something that doesn't work, you cancel that subscription and you try something different. So it's a very different technology world, and a lot more opportunities than there used to be able to, for tools to run your business.
Yeah.
So Michelle, you're out Heathcote, and obviously on a farm like Beck. You're not actually in Heathcote, you're out on the road, and I have visited your property, and with its very specific instructions. How do you go for with technology online? You need connectivity. Has that been an issue for you, or how did you get around it?
It's an issue at school holidays, and it's an issue when we were trying to, 4 of us home during COVID. Look, the internet's, generally it's okay, because I actually work from home now. So that's one of the big technology opportunities is I actually work for a Melbourne company in my day job, and I'm sitting here at my desk at the farm. And most of the time that's okay. There's certainly patches when the internet is not sufficient, and if I was running a software business or anything like that, it certainly wouldn't be suitable. So I think there's something that really good opportunities to improve that internet, so we could really do some of that more technology pieces. But when you're talking about being on Zoom and email, it's okay.
Well, I must point everyone out to, we had a previous meetup with AgCloud, and they talked about the connectivity on rural properties. So I did that a few months ago. It's on our resources page, startupcv.com.au, if anyone's interested in watching that. There was some really good advice, particularly for rural customers and the many issues, and but there are solutions, but you've got to make it worthwhile to find those to implement those solutions if connectivity.
Yeah. And look, it was actually something when before we bought the farm, it was can we get internet out here? Is there mobile reception? Kerry mentioned about having specific instructions to get here. That's because Google takes us to the wrong place. Like, things just, the maps don't always work out here. Like, you do need to be considerate of that, some of the technology, which doesn't perhaps work as well in the country as it does in the city.
And it's an important consideration, although you wouldn't have people necessarily coming to your farm, yours is more online and website, and that's your main customer platform?
Yeah, at the moment, yep. I'd love to do things like farm days and have people visit and have people actually see how we, how we manage the animals, the work that we're doing around planting. That's something that's definitely in the future. I'm a little bit, like Amy said, I keep coming up with these ideas, and my husband, like, just one thing at a time. Let's just do one thing at a time.
Maybe solve that Google Maps issue before you open your farm up too. There you go. Put that on your list, Michelle. Well done. So Beck, you're also well out of a town, and I can't remember whether the Google Maps work to your place or not. Connectivity, all these issues. How do you use tech in your business?
Yeah, so Google Maps does work because I persistently would send my address to everyone, and it's finally like a pin, so people know where it is, and it comes up with my business name. So that's just through sheer persistence. So Google came around to the party. People might laugh, but I only got the NBN on in 2020 because of COVID. And that's because I was literally operating my business off a little portable Wi-Fi device. And 2020 came, I had 2 kids remote learning, I had my husband at home working online. We're like, this is not working. So, yep, got the NBN on, got Netflix. Everyone was real happy about that. It took us a little while to come to the NBN party, but we got there, and the service is quite good. During that time, also just leading up to that, I decided to deliver my files online rather than handing over a USB. That was mainly because my USBs were coming from China. I was getting batches that weren't great, like they kept, failing. And Chinese New Year, you cannot get anything out of the country at that time. So I had to really think about, okay, this is not working. What am I going to do? So now I upload everything to Dropbox, which is great for the client because they have instant access to it. They can share it with their friends and family, and it's also an extra backup for myself. So I do have like manual hard drives where I back everything up, but God forbid I'm not home one day and the house burns down. I don't have anything. So, but at least I've got everything up in the cloud. So I feel really good about that I've got that implemented. All my software is online. So I have to, have good connectivity to use that. I also have or co-host a podcast called The Lost Mothers, and we started doing it during the pandemic, and we've been able to connect with women from all over the world. So that's been incredible, and probably something we wouldn't have thought of pre 2020, I guess. So technology is huge in my business, and it's probably not until you posed that question to me, Kerry, that I realised how massive it is. So you've got your back end stuff with all your admin, your editing software. Then I've also got social media, which is huge. Like that's where I get a lot of my business from. Definitely a love-hate relationship with that, but it's a necessary evil in my eyes. It just sucks a lot of time out of your day. Technology is massive, and I couldn't run my business without it. So getting that NBN has been a game changer.
Excellent. Now you mentioned the Lost Mothers podcast. Tell us a little bit more about that. I'm just sensing we'd like to hear a bit more about.
Yeah, so my sister and myself started the podcast in 2020, and we interview mothers, I can say all over the world now, who have experienced the loss of a child. It's a sad, like there are sad stories, but there are also some great wisdom and great learnings that come from listening to these mothers. And I guess in my business, you know, as much as I experience the joy of people welcoming a baby and children into their lives, there's also the other side that, you know, rarely gets talked about. So I have had a few clients who were in that unfortunate, you know, club that no one wants to be in. And I just felt I had a platform to give them a voice. And my sister is a midwife, and she is amazing with the language side of everything. So yeah, we've teamed up. I photograph the women as well. And yeah, we are planning to make it into a book. So we thought the podcast is great because we can record all the information and get people to listen. But ultimately, we want to put together a book with all these amazing women's stories.
And that's just incredible. As you say, you can get a worldwide audience. And this is where technology has been such a game changer for rural women, rural businesses, rural communities. It's actually connected us with the rest of the world. Yes, every now and then our internet might go a bit wonky, but you know that's the price you pay for being in a rural community. And I just, sometimes I've always said disruption actually brings on good change. And having talked to people and having used online meeting spaces for probably 10 years before the pandemic, it was just such a relief for everyone to catch up and realize, hey, this can broaden our audiences, whether it's for doing wonderful work with your podcast or with your photography or business advice or selling wool and meat products online. It's just been such a game changer for rural businesses. So thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts on that. Now, I am aware that if anyone online that's joined us would like to ask a question, please put your hand up, or if you're shy, you can just type it in the chat box. But I'm also aware that these ladies, to my knowledge, have not met each other before. So you're also very welcome to ask questions. So I'm just giving you a moment to gather your thoughts and let me know. We'll go in there. But I'm just going to ask another question while we think about what questions we'd like to ask. Why a rural community and why business? What is good about it? Oh, gee, I think I might have jumped in and answered a bit of that. But anyway, and what aspects do you need to manage most to be successful? So let's start off with Michelle this time.
So why rural community? Well, actually, community is, that's one of the reasons why we kind of made the tree change. We wanted a bit more space, pretty typical kind of tree change. We wanted more space for the kids. We wanted, but building that community, being able to, have nature on your doorstep, big veggie gardens, all those sort of things. But it's definitely the community bit, and we've it's taken a little while to find that here, but now we've sort of found the groups that we're involved in, both my husband and I and the kids at school, and really starting to feel like we're part of the community, and we kind of, you now go down the street and you run into people and that's a really lovely thing. And when we know what's going on in terms of the issues in town as well, and so feeling part of that's really, really important. It's really important for us, and that's been really beneficial. And I think that it also then obviously ties into business as well. Like I think Beck said before, word of mouth is a big thing when it comes to promoting your business. I guess the things that we need to manage is really probably just the multiple things that we've got going on, and that's just, I think, the same for most mothers or most women, most people in business. Really, is that trying to deal with the kids and the farm and the multiple jobs that we've got, and you want to get involved in this this group here, but and somebody else wants to get, so there's a lot of opportunities. It's just trying to, what do you prioritize, and what do we want to focus on? So that's probably the thing that between, the whole family that we're trying to manage the most.
One thing at a time is probably the easiest answer to that, but we're jugglers, aren't we?
Yeah, and because the Heathcote's a fairly small town, so a lot of the kids' sports in Bendigo, so that's that takes out half of Saturday. So it's all that sort of juggles that things aren't that close in rural, but area. But yeah, that's all part of the juggle, part of the fun.
It is, and having lived on a rural property myself, you do have to make some hard choices sometimes. The kids can't do everything that someone right in a town would have the choice of, but they still have a pretty good lifestyle, I've discovered. So they don't get to ride ponies or motorbikes in a town setting. So there's some good things too.
Yeah, for
Beck,
sure.
you're in a very rural situation too, so why rural, why business?
Yeah, so my husband's family are out this way, and they're actually like 5 k's up the road. So our house came up for sale, and my husband just dug his heels and he's like, I want this house. So he never wants for much, so I knew he was pretty serious. So here we are. At the time I was like, oh my goodness, what are we doing? We built a house in Bendigo. We just done an extension on it, like we were pretty cruising along, and yeah, got thrown into the deep end, but I don't regret it at all. It was the best move ever. I wouldn't have my business if we weren't here. I'm very lucky that I can just walk out my back door and run my business. So yeah, it's been amazing. We've got lots of great neighbours, lots of young families, which is great. And yeah, it is definitely the word of mouth. Like once I, got a couple of clients locally, so like I've got Maryborough and surrounds, I guess, Castlemaine. I feel like I'm in a pretty good area. So I'm close to Bendigo. So lots of big towns around us. And I feel like, yeah, it's word of mouth is a massive part of that. And yeah, it's just the lifestyle, like it's the flexibility. Like Amy said, like I love being able to, do a shoot in the morning and then I can go pick up the kids in the afternoon or get one from the bus stop or go to the appointments, go to the sporting events, schedule my work a little bit around like what's important to my family. So yeah, that's one massive thing. And then yeah, just the outdoor lifestyle, you can't beat it.
And you've got such a lovely outdoor environment. And I love the fact that you've created the business, the property is your studio. And you've touched on another important thing, which you all have to some degree. Your local community are your biggest champions. So if they know what you're doing, they're telling everybody else about it. So yeah. So Amy, I think you were born and bred in Cohuna, were you?
I was born, both my husband and I were born and bred here, and schooled here, but we went away to university and then lived in Ballarat for about 6 years. When our eldest child was about to be enrolled, I think I was filling in the forms for his school enrollment, and the school was like 500 kids and we didn't know anyone. And I just had this feeling in my tummy like, oh, it just doesn't feel right. And I just said to my husband, why don't we just go home? Had all our all sets of grandparents and great grandparents, because we had our children very young. And I was pregnant with our third child, and we had no childcare. Well, we had childcare in Ballarat, but it was so expensive. So we just said, let's do it. And gosh, Ava's 16 now, so that was probably 17 years ago. Feels like about 5. And we have never regretted it. We love the lifestyle. We love the countryside where we live, the freedoms. The kids have probably been involved in more sports and activities than they would have ever in the city. And I feel like they've been raised by the entire community. Like it's such a safe community and got so many family and friends around. So that's just been absolutely brilliant. And another reason is that we want to sort of leave a legacy. So, creating a business, getting involved. My husband's the I think he's lieutenant, I don't know, I lose track of the CFA. You know, I started Park Run here in Cohuna. We just always have these projects on the go of getting involved and, you know, helping people and just making it a better environment. So we're nearly empty nesters, believe it or not, and we've got some big goals coming up and always looking forward. We're just so passionate about rural towns and getting the word out there that you don't have to miss out on anything by living in the country, particularly now that, you know, it's just really brought down the boundaries of most things, and the opportunities are out there. So we're hopefully going to be some champions for decentralisation and promoting rural towns, and I'd like to take Bush Biz Boost on the road. I've got an electric vehicle, and how good's that going to be to tie that in with travelling around and helping rural towns and charging at all the different spots and all of that sort of stuff. But obviously everyone's mentioned the juggle and, you know, trying to focus on things as one of the problems. I find one of the problems, it's going to bring a little bit of negativity, but it's true, we have to speak about it as women, but I find one of the problems tall poppy syndrome and negativity towards women who have opinions and sort of want to challenge the status quo or bring about some change. So I think I just try and surround myself with amazing women, people to look up to like yourself, Kerry, and, you know, there's plenty others out there, but just trying to get rid of that small town mindset and just overcome that and, you know, get bigger and better and lead the way for all the other younger women and older women that are probably, you know, have voices and want to start practicing using them as well. So that's sort of what we're planning to do and hoping to do in the future. So
thank you, Amy. And I think each and every one of you and many other women out there are doing exactly that. What do they say? We stand on, you know, on the shoulders of the people that went before us. And I think our daughters are having a much better run, and each generation it's going to get better and better. And look, even business in general, you know, some communities think, you know, oh, business people making money. Well, they're making money for a very good reason, to be self-reliant, employ people, spend their money in their communities. So being profitable, being in business is an incredible support to any rural community. And I think everyone's heard me on that little soapbox many times. But today it's been very much about women in rural settings, and I've just so enjoyed listening to your stories, and I think you've learned a little bit about each other. And I do thank everyone for their time, because I know how busy you are. I do. We're all busy, but in a great way. We're doing things that we love. We're sharing useful information to help other women grow their business ideas or find new pathways, because as Beck mentioned, we never stop learning. You can't be complacent. Michelle's talked about, you know, the skills that she's brought into the business and finding new ways. Amy, you're doing a wonderful job helping other women in business. It's, you know, just all amazing stuff. So I'm going to give you all a last chance. It can be a word of advice or it could be a question, whatever you'd like it to do. But let's start with Beck.
A word of advice, was that, sorry, Kerry?
It could, the last word, whatever you want it,
okay.
The last word, yes.
I would say probably the biggest thing in business for me is listen to your gut. Like, if something doesn't feel right, don't do it. Like what you were saying before, Amy, when you're listening to your gut, didn't feel right, and look where you are now. So yeah, I just think, yeah, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. If it feels right, go all in. So yeah, that's my last word.
Fantastic. Michelle.
So I would say it's a slightly different take on that one, in that sometimes when you're not sure, you can just take those baby steps, you know, trial something, if that, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect at day one, you know, trial something. If that doesn't work, you know, change tax. You know, if you don't have all your things ready for that market, just sell the one. So just, yeah, if you're not confident, if you're confident, all in, go for it. If you're still in those early stages, you know, just trial it. Give something a go. You'll learn for the next one and build on it.
Great advice. Amy.
I love that, Michelle, because, you know, a lot of people are held back by wanting to get things perfect or right, or, you know, having an 80-page detailed business plan, and sometimes just test and measure and get feedback and then start again. That's great. But my parting words, I suppose, today was all about celebrating rural women in business. So I just want to encourage people to really get behind other women in business that you know that are doing amazing things, and even not in the spotlight necessarily. There's some incredible people out there doing amazing things in the spotlight, but yeah, just be observant and see the women that are juggling it, doing it all, and making those steps towards creating amazing businesses or organisations. Give all the volunteers a pat on the back, interact with people's social media, because like Beck said, it can suck the life out of you. Spend so much time on that and then no one even comments on it, or essentially, you know, you don't even get any likes. So I feel like if we all just celebrate each other, support each other, reach out and connect with each other. If you see a woman with opinions being, you know, downtrodden by anyone, send her a message of support or ask for women's opinions, all of that sort of stuff. It's so important. So yeah, let's get behind all the real business women, because we are doing it all. We are doing often the farming, running other businesses, working full time, the children, the household duties, the community work, and plus working on our own creativity and our own projects and dreams. So yeah, just get behind all the women in your life and reach out to them for support and to support them.
Great words to end on. Thank you very much, everyone. I will be sending out more details of next month's meetup, which is actually, if anyone was a My Kitchen Rules fan, Peter and Alice, who own a cafe, Run Rabbit Run, in Castlemaine. So stay tuned for more details on that. But thank you, everyone. All wonderful words of advice, and thank you so much for your time today.